Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Nikita and I'm currently attending high school in India. I've been following this exact study routine since I was in 10th grade, and since now I've finished 12th grade, I thought it would be ideal to share this routine with you guys. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I'm going to be telling you guys the exact routine where you can get good marks without sacrificing your mental health and sleep. So I've divided my routine into 4 stages. It's called attention, analysis, execution, and rinse. I've basically invented this routine, so let's get straight into it. Attention is basically the first time you ever get exposed to any study material of any sort, and this usually happens in a class. Most of the videos I've watched about study routines and how people study is that they basically read the material ahead of class or before the class actually starts. But for me, I'm lazy. I literally cannot do that unless it's like really required, and if it's a subject I'm really bad at, like math, I will not go to the extra route and I will not study more. Since it's the first time you're going to be exposed to the material, I usually pay attention in class, and I find that people take lots of notes during class, but I don't do that because one, it's not really useful to take notes based on something that's already in the textbook. Rather, what I do is I have the textbook open if required, and if the teacher or lecturer says something like XYZ is going to come for 5 marks or this topic is really important, I will just make a little side note or a margin note in my textbook itself directly. For me, I memorize information through writing, and so unless I'm trying to actively memorize any piece of information, I will not take the pain and write it down. I make a little mental note of what was taught in class. I'm not asking you to remember the exact definition or the exact keywords or formulas. Example, we were taught about consumer behavior. I would just remember, oh, consumer behavior, types of market, types of consumers. That's it. You don't have to go deeper than that. It's just a light review for your brain to know what was taught. Next, we go to analysis. Analysis is basically you analyzing the material. So you can either go home once school is over and review the material ASAP, or I usually don't do this because I don't have the time, because I had a lot of other activities to juggle when I was in high school, so I didn't go home directly and study the material, and also because I was tired. So rather, the rule of thumb that I use is to review the material taught in class in less than 72 hours. So I naturally have a good memory because I used to do like speech and debate and months and stuff like that. So because of that, I've been memorizing stuff since like first grade, like speeches and all that. But as a rule of thumb, I like to go over everything at least before the week starts. So let's say in week 1, I learned XYZ topics. Before week 2 starts, at least on the weekends, I will make it a point to read through every single thing that was taught. It's a review phase, and it does require a certain amount of energy because this is your first review of the material, like first hand looking at the textbook and understanding what the topic consists of. And so repetition is key, because when I'm familiar with the concept, or I've found that when my mind is familiar with the concept, I can still remember it during the exam even if I didn't take notes during class. This is exactly why the review phase is so important, because you're gonna not get distracted. Don't do anything, like don't have music or anything. Just look at the material in front of you and read through it with concentration a few times, and you'll understand the material. And now I like to take notes during this period itself, which is why I told you it's a high energy task. So I usually just take notes based on what's important. And because I am a note taker, like since like middle school or something, I don't write all the information. I just write down the bulk of the information or the bulk of the material I think is gonna come in the exam or I think is important. And for me, especially for me, I don't know about other people, because my friends use their textbooks a lot, but for me, my notes are the reference point. My notes are the end of it all. If I don't find my notes before my exam, I will crash out. I don't care about the textbook. What I do is I go through the textbook or handout or whatever study material is given to me, and I make notes based off of that in my own words, in my own language, and I have like very detailed note-taking systems. And there are 2 videos over here that I've already made, so you should go watch them if you want to know how to take notes, or if you want to know how I take notes. So yeah, now once my notes are done, I just shove my textbooks into a corner. They can rot over there until I need them again, because notes are my reference point. If textbooks are your reference point, you don't have to make notes. Just this is also important because now when you're reading the material, you might get like certain doubts, or you might be confused regarding certain topics, and so you can always immediately get those questions cleared ASAP rather than waiting till the semester is over and asking them. So if you go and get it cleared ASAP, you can make the same notes back into your textbook, or you can make the same corrections you need in your mind when you're understanding the concept. Now, because you've reviewed it twice, at least certain portion of the topic is going to stay in your mind. Next is execution. This is the third phase. What do I mean by execution? The whole point of the material you're studying is so that you can like basically reciprocate it in the exam, right? Execution is basically solving, where you're executing every single concept you've learned, even if it's theory based subject or even if it's like a practical application based subject. We'll go with the application based subjects first. I'm talking about math, statistics, accounting, whatever that has a lot of numbers in it, problems to solve. You have more questions to solve, right? So ideally, because it's math and there's not that much theory, at least in our curriculums, and ideally you can combine the analysis period with execution and you can get them both done at the same time for numerical based subjects. What do? You just solve every question you can find, whether it's behind your textbook or if it's like a question bank or whatever. You solve every single question you can find about that particular topic you're studying. If you're studying permutation combinations or whatever, you just find the exact questions. It's probably behind your book. You solve every single one of them. Check your answers, rinse and repeat, where you have to just whatever questions you get wrong, you just solve them again and write them down. Theory based subjects especially, this is really important because history, economics, whatever subjects you might have, there are questions given at the end of the chapter. I would say, at least for us, there's questions given at the end of the book, or you can obviously find questions online, use your handouts, past papers, any particular source that generates questions, or you can obviously always use AI models like ChatGPT. You feed in the subject or like the content of the subject that you have to ChatGPT and it generates questions. So you can use that or the questions given at the back of your book to aid your understanding. What you do is you try to solve each and every question and try to time yourself, because I found that when I yap too much, I don't have time to like answer every single question in the exam, which is exactly why you have to time yourself while solving these questions. And obviously you have to check your answers. I check my answers in red pen because it makes seeing my mistakes a lot more easier. You can write in blue or black pen and check in red pen or green pen or even a sketch pen or marker. What you have to do is the more questions you solve and the more fill in the blanks, MCQs or long answers that you solve and you write, or you just verbally say them, you get a more enhanced idea of what exactly you know and what concepts or ideas you struggle with. Even while answering the questions, you'll have a mental thing that, oh, I'm cooked, or oh, I know this. It's like it comes into your mind, right? So this allows us to condense our learning into two sections. I use this a lot. You basically divide what you know and what you don't know into two sides, strengths and weaknesses. As the name suggests, strengths are topics that you've already grasped, you don't need too much effort on, but weaknesses are topics you can't at all remember, and so it's your weakness. For me, I like to spend double the time I spend on my strengths on my weaknesses. Let's say I spend half an hour on a topic I'm good at, I would spend a whole 1 hour on any topic I'm bad at or my weaknesses. This is because I don't want my weaknesses to traumatize me during the exam. Okay, next is rinse. Rinse is basically a rehash session where you speed run through everything you know and you don't. Here you reread your notes or your textbook. And this is really important because you have to do this after you've solved the questions. Because once you've solved the questions and you reread your notes, you get a very, very clear idea about your weaknesses. And even for your strengths, but mainly for your weaknesses. You can rinse through your notes and flashcards. But what I like to use the most is brain dumping. For me, I have a whiteboard. I don't think you can see it here. But yeah, I have a whiteboard and I go there, I put on like my study course Spotify playlist and I just time myself for 20-30 minutes and essentially I just brain dump every damn thing I know about the topic. Every single thing, no matter how irrelevant or how minute. I put the unit at the start. I can make a more detailed video on this later if you want. While brain dumping, I get like a rough idea of what else I haven't written yet that I know is there but I can't recollect it. If you're not very interested in writing everything down, and you find it like a chore, you can always open up the voice recording app on your phone or your tablet and just, if you hate writing, just yap. Keep yapping everything about the subject that you know, and then you can replay your recordings and double check them with your notes to make sure you've got all the information right. And this is important because even if you hate writing, you have to do this step where if you get something wrong, because this is like your third or fourth revision, if you get something wrong, what you do is you write it down. And especially if you're bad at writing or you don't like writing, you should have a small dedicated notebook for just these things. These are topics that you're very, very bad at or you literally cannot remember, and these are mainly like minute details or like who died in which year, stuff like that. you have to write them down in this notebook, because you're not able to remember it in your fourth revision, which means you need multiple more revisions of this particular topic or these particular pointers. And whatever you don't know, you write it down in a separate piece of paper, and you have to write everything down. Next is you have to keep repeating these top pointers over and over, especially if they're like fill in the blanks or like multiple choice questions. You keep repeating what you don't know over a period of time. So let's say you have a test after like a month, this is especially ideal because you have like an entire 2 weeks to keep rereading the pointers. There's literally no way you won't know anything on the paper, no matter which corner it comes from, because you've already brain dumped and you already have a clear, solid understanding of what you don't know. So all you have to do is focus more on what you're not aware of. There's another way you can study is, if plain reading is difficult for you to focus, you can always ask your friend or parent to literally quiz you on the material, or you can just take a picture of your notes, or if you've taken it online, just feed your notes to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to quiz you again. Look bad in your transcript if you get like 100 like one time and you get a 10 later. Is just going to look like you fell off. However, if you keep consistently getting 95, 96, 97 throughout every single test that happens, it looks so much more consistent. It looks like, oh, this person is consistently like good at studying, or they have like an established system that's working for them. Because if this is part of your routine, you cannot go wrong, because it becomes a habit for you to review, to do analysis, to do attention, analysis, execution. It becomes like an entire like system for you, and so you cannot go wrong with this material. When I did get a full out of full, or when I did get an 80 in economics, 80 out of 80 is the highest you can get. I got an 80 on 80 in economics consistently in 11th grade, like 40 out of 40, 80 out of 80, like throughout till the end. And so when you consistently get full out of full, you have that mental pressure to be perfect, right? And I felt that last year, and that's exactly why consistency is more important compared to perfection. Because if you fall off, or if you get like a 80, if you get like an 80 instead of 100, it's going to be so much more stressful for you to keep it up, and you'll get like really depressed over that. So what matters more is you're consistent, and even if you don't see results in the next test, you know that the method is foolproof, you know it works for you. All you have to do is keep repeating it and focusing harder. That's what I would say really matters while studying. I would recommend an extra step that you can do, which is if you have like a calendar app, and if you time block every single thing, that's way easier. I'm not a very routine person. I like to be more spontaneous, but when I was really busy in like October to like January, I did schedule every little thing down to what subject I was going to be revising, what topic, and how long it was going to take me. And always give yourself 5 minutes here and there for leeway, just in case something happens, you can't control it, or let's say you gotta go to the washroom, you spilled water on your clothes, etc, etc. Give yourself 5 to 10 minutes more if you plan on scheduling your tasks. This study routine, you gotta ideally follow it for the entire academic year. Repeat execution and rinse more and more, especially when it's like 1 week or 5 days close to your exam time, because with this level of routine, you're already very prepared for every test that comes. And so yeah, I'm gonna conclude the video. So anyways, thank you for watching this video. This was my study routine that I've been somewhat following since I was in like 10th grade. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.